It's the mark of booty.
Shit. Nah. Love the royal priesthood. Mark of Buddha, Sekou the Madman, Killer Priest, Fourth Chambers, Full Fuji. This beat sound like something I wear. You dig? Yo, hold on my people, why you walking around like you equal? They wrote you in as 3/5, what we gon' do about this? Talk too much, you end up like Jimi Hendrix in 27 Club. You want that knowledge, well I'm the plug. Knowledge itself is the drug, and I keep dropping the nugs. Culture pushing, wisdom spitting, pimping simpletons into listening. Yawning while you spewing fiction. I can feel the tensions in your intentions. I wonder if that's Johnson heaven. If God is white, why he write that bronze was the sun? They give us reparations, that's when the apocalypse begun. Yeah. Red rhyme, okay. Yeah. Red rhyme, better rhyme. Grab your guns, daughters and sons. Wasn't long ago when they had us hung. Blood on the leaves, frontal crumbled in between. Exhale from my ancestors that prevailed. We inhale, so we inhale, dodging death every day. Just happy I'm here to tell the tale. Meanwhile, y'all with the pigs and them tattletales. I'ma just be a scientist if it all fails. Mixing chemicals like a cocktail. My tree smell like it's from the tropical. So not for sale, never settle. Follow the tears on the trail. Nah.
That whole African American thing is to omit, you see, the indigenous black man of this particular land. When we brought the African American term, we cut out all of the Caribbean, all of South America, all of Latin America. This is another way to reclassify you, you see what I'm saying, outside of power.
We got blacks, whites, brown and yellow. We got red, those with dreads found in the ghetto. We got bullet-led and misled, the smile of the devil. On the face of the moon, heart pound like a rebel. Hear the sound of the metal. War in Iraq, 6 feet underground with the shovel. All over the map, the Bible said signs of the time. The Torah said that's your God, not mine. The Holy Quran says it's all Allah's design. The Buddhist says let's meet at the shrine. Thou shalt not eat of the swine. That you is the cut, sure as blue as the blood. Killer priests in the temple, Nehru is the love.
That's a political move that was put in by the government to break you down to this subclass, you see, and not be a world community. So to call you an African American is to disconnect you from that global community and that great diaspora that we were talking about. So that's a political move. Yes, come on. The average Native American was this brother's complexion at the turn of the century. Now when you say Native American, it's some white person with a feather in his hair. Right.
All right. And thank you for joining us for this special presentation of the BlacX Poli Sci 101, all right, MWM initiative, along with the Recharge Genocide Project and the National Black Human Rights Projects. All right. Shout out to Noru and Killer Priest, all right, for that song selection. And a great show, great segment. We're going to have this afternoon, this evening, I should say. With that being said, we got our brother, the famous, just phenomenal, not only politician, former politician, but activist and organizer, Brother Charles Barron. All right. We also have a few individuals that's in the yard with us. Welcome. We got Brother Jeff Jones. We got Brother Shamari in the building. And we got Brother Ramsey in the building. And of course, we got our illustrious host for this evening, Sister Empress Che herself. All right. So this is going to be one of two in a series. We're going to have with Brother Barron, all right, and former New York council member, as well as assemblyman, all right, and did some phenomenal works and actions, all right, as it pertains to legislation that was put into action as far as liberation for our people and further empowerment in the city of New York. So we're going to hear some of that history, as well as some things, maybe some gems, some ways to be able to avoid certain pitfalls and to make sure that we can move forward. Mute. Okay, all right, cool. Let me mute that real quick. All right, so as I was saying, we can move forward politically, more positively, progressively, and proficiently. Okay, now with that being said, let me come over to Sister Empress to see if she is on deck for us this evening. Sister Empress, with us?
Yep. I'm here most certainly, and it is a pleasure and an honor to be so. Kicking off these sessions is, just really not only important, but it's exciting. And needless to say, it's certainly something that needs to happen. Consistency is very important. And while you mentioned our brother Charles Barron is no longer in the actual day-to-day, systemic or the system political arena, he is, in fact, on a day-to-day mission politically when it comes to Black liberation and justice. And so we have to be real clear that even though you might stop one part of something, when you're in this, meaning the movement to free our people and to obtain justice, you're in it in some kind of way every day. And so we feel very pleased and honored to be able to point these things out and to bring it to you live and living color, raw and real. And that's what you're going to be seeing and hearing as we proceed with our, what we call BlacX Poli Sci 101. And it's specifically, for the most part, for us. We say that unapologetically because we can. And we shall, and we need to. And it doesn't mean that we don't support other, things and entities and all of that. But at some point, it has to be about the first family first. And that's us. So we're going to get ready to get right into it, family. I just want to give you a little bit of what's getting ready to happen and why. So as Brother Lumumba mentioned, Brother Charles is going to share with us and enlighten and help us in this growth and development process of becoming, some people talk about financial literacy. How about political literacy? Or better yet, political intelligence and astuteness. So we know that elections happen every year, and in some locations it happens 2-3 times a year. But we also know that there's a big election coming in 2028. And so while we do not advocate about, voting and all of that, what we do know is the majority of our people are going to vote. So the question has to be, do we just leave this blank area and just have other people to manipulate them into voting the way they want, because there's a void of information, there's a void of engagement with the masses of our people, so that leaves them vulnerable and open to other folks. So we said, nah, we're not going to keep doing that. We're going to provide information, let folks do whatever they want to do, but we'll be responsible enough to provide adequate, factual, concrete, progressive, and Brother Charles is going to say radical information. At least that. Lastly, we have a few folks with us who are literally going to be running for office soon, and that's one of our purposes. We want to run our own candidates, y'all. But keep it in mind, that's been done before, but we want to make sure there's accountability, proper vetting, and also that we have an actual Black political agenda, both in local areas as well as national. So with that said, Brother Charles Barron is joining us tonight. This is part 1. Next week is part 2. And we're going to talk about what it is. What is this thing? This political electoral thing? What is it? Why is it? What's the reality of it? And better yet, perhaps, as Brother Charles will share with us, how to beat it. Because we tend to think we're not smart enough or creative enough to go up against it and win. Well, Brother Charles and Sister Inez gave us the examples, just as other ancestors and scholars gave us information and examples. The problem is we're not using it, at least not to the degree that we should. So we're here today to say, nah, not on our watch. We're going to step up, be responsible, and represent. And as Baba Kwame Ture often taught us, not only organize, but also we must not fail our ancestors. And so we won't. So with that said, we're going to go to our conversation tonight. And we welcome those who are on Facebook with us and also those who are on YouTube. We thank you all for joining us. And of course, the folks that are behind stage with us who might be coming up front shortly with us with some questions or comments. But for right now, we're going to go to Brother Charles Barron. Greetings, Brother Charles.
Well, greetings and grand rising to all of us. And I say this is the greatest time to be alive.
Yes.
It depends upon your viewpoint. If you're so trumpeteized that you don't realize that revolution in Africa is on the rise and that the American empire is on the decline, the demise, then you're going to miss it. And it's easy to get caught up in Trump because he and Benjamin Netanyahu and Israel are the worst two men on the planet. So it's easy to get so caught up in them that you forget your own power. You forget your own ability to really make a serious difference. So I want to focus on the electoral arena, and just to say straight up, it is not a panacea. We're not going to be able to vote our way to freedom. It has its limitations and it has its benefits. And I want to share some of the benefits. So I see us getting involved in the electoral arena, the same thing as we demonstrate, we protest, we build alternative institutions to respond to our oppression. Sometimes we decide that we're going to build institutions in our community, that we're going to buy land and feed ourselves and clothe ourselves, and we're going to buy housing. So these is all a part of our strategy for liberation. But what we decided in my East New York, Brooklyn, a predominantly Black community, 70 some odd percent Black, about 20 some odd percent Latino, Black and brown community, that every time we had an issue, we ran into some sellout, neo-colonial, Black sycophant puppets of the Democratic Party. These were gate watchers for the white power structure. And we began to say to everybody, a Black face in a high place doesn't mean Black power. As a matter of fact, many of them have been so caught up in their personal ambition, their delusions of grandeur, their sense of power that they don't have, so much so that they become more of a liability to us than an asset. So we decided in East New York, Brooklyn, that we're going to stop just calling them names and sell out and the names we call them and talk all of our rhetoric. We're going to take them out. We're going to take them out of office, and we're going to put in office Black radicals. See, you have to have an ideology to guide your practice. If you're just focusing on organizing around issues, regardless of the ideology of the people you're organizing with, then you're not going anywhere, because you will empower people who Once they get in, then they will forget about you because you didn't have the structure, you didn't have the organization to hold them accountable. And if you continue to organize and vote for people on a local level that continues to sell us out, then we are going in circles. So we decided to take them out. And we have a formula on how to beat the machine. We beat the most powerful Democratic organization in the country, and that is the Kings County Democratic Organization of Brooklyn. Inez Barron and myself been married for 43 years. Put the hand clap on there, Brother Lumumba, for the 43 years of marriage. Go ahead. There you go. 43 years of marriage, and we decided that we would do, first and foremost, a power analysis. And I say this in every speech I make. It's all about power. In the 60s, we said black power, black power. Well, we did the black, got our African garb on and changed our names. And we had Kawaii theory and Kwanzaa and Juneteenth and Black History Month and African Liberation Month or Day. So we did the black, but we didn't get the power. The power still was in the hands of our oppressors. And so this electoral system was not designed for you and me. It was designed for them to maintain power and control over our communities by way of a domestic colonial capitalist system, creating domestic colonies called Black communities. A domestic colony is where you are the majority in that particular district, but you don't own the land, you don't own the businesses, you don't control the means of production, you don't control the police, you don't control the school system, you don't control the healthcare delivery system, you don't even control transportation. So all of that is in the hands of our oppressors or people outside of our communities. That's why we are a colony. So we did a power analysis and we said, well, let's look at some seats we should run for. So we focused in New York on the two smallest election districts that we could think of. And that was the state assembly seat and the city council seat. And let me try, those two are important. Those are very winnable seats. So in New York, the city council has the power to, one, pass the budget. The city council passes the budget, not the mayor. The city council determines what's going to be built on city-owned land, not the mayor. The city council passes all the municipal laws, not the mayor. The mayor can't even pass a law without a council sponsor because it's the legislative body. So we said, let's go after the city council seat. And then when you do your analysis, you got to look at the historical election turnout for that particular district and the registered voters. Now, this might be a difference for others. We don't register people to vote because we're Black revolutionaries in the electoral arena, and we're not trying to increase the voter participation rolls of the Democratic Party, but we do use the Democratic primary as a strategy, as a tactic to win a local seat. And the reason why we don't necessarily have to register people to vote, and I'm not telling others not to do that, if that's your thing, by all means. We have 60,000 registered voters already in my council district. When I did a research of the election turnouts, only 10,000 come out to vote. 50,000 people stay home. So when I looked at that, our strategy was, why they stay home? Let's get those who are staying home out rather than increase the roles of the Democratic Party, because ultimately we have to do a mass exodus from the Democratic Party and start our own independent Black Party. But that's going to take some time. That's going to take some work. So in the meantime, strategy is let's get those Democratic Party seats in the Democratic primary. So that was the city council seat. The state assembly seat, there's 120,000 people in a state assembly district, 161,000 in our council district, and only 7,000 to 8,000 of the 50, 60,000 voters in the state assembly seat come out to vote. So our strategy is to get more of our people to come out. Now we had to find the candidates. We decided those two seats are going to be it. So when you're building an electoral movement, particularly a radical, revolutionary electoral movement, we're saying radical and revolutionary because we're not in it just to get jobs for our people as much as we need it. And we did do that. We're not in it just to make sure that we are not gentrified. And we did that. Our neighborhood is not gentrified. We in it to get to the root causes of our oppression. That's what radical means, getting to the root of our problem and not organizing just around symptomology. Crime is a symptomology of a colonial capitalist system that has us locked in domestic colonies. Gentrification is a symptomology. Deed theft is a symptomology. Poverty is a symptomology. Unemployment is a symptomology. Homelessness, unhoused, is a symptomology of a deeply flawed colonial capitalist system that needs a revolution, a radical solution. So in the meantime, we say revolution starts from the bottom up, not the top down. So we focused on those two seats. When we realized that 10,000 people came out in the city council seat and 7,000 people came out in the state assembly seat, we decided we're going for those two seats. And our goal was to get at least 5,000 votes in the city council seat and then at least 3,000 to 4,000 votes in the state assembly seat. So they chose me to be the first candidate that we would run. Our first time running, we got 4,000 votes against the machine's 6,000 votes. Very good. The second time we ran, the machine incumbent was term limited. The seat was open. We won. We got 5,000 votes to the machine's 4,600. That means that we were able to get 4,000 more people to come out to vote. And that took work. We went door to door, as you all know how to do. We were at subways in the morning and made sure that our people were contacted at least 7 times. They saw me in the morning at the train stations. They saw me speaking in their churches. They saw me at the subway stations when they came home from work. They saw me in the supermarkets. I went to the block association presidents and I got them to support me so they could take me around the block instead of going there cold and nobody knew me. And I went to the tenant leaders in public housing. They supported me. I got some elderly seniors to support me. So that's how we got it all moving. Now, we've been in office, well, we were in office for 21 years. We were elected in 2002, and we stayed in office for 21 years. We beat 21 years. We beat Hakeem Jeffries. He's a puppet for the Democratic Party. We beat Mayor Eric Adams. They were all supporting candidates against us. The Attorney General, Letitia James, she supported people against us. Some unions were against us. Some clergy was against us. And we beat them at their own game because we outworked them. Did we have $1 million? No. They always had more money than us. But we knew how to do a mailing and robocalls and election day operation. We got the young people who were proud to work with us. I'm going to show you some clips, if Empress has them, on some of those victory celebrations. But we were able to win the first seat in 2001, and we rocked the whole political world in New York City because they didn't expect the Black Panther to win. Because I told them I'm not wearing shirts and ties. I'm not going to not talk black and radical. I'm anti-capitalism. I'm anti-imperialism. I'm anti-neo-colonial black puppets. I'm for socialism. I'm for African liberation. I'm going to fight for reparations and the freedom of my black political prisoners from the Black Panther Party, the Black Liberation Army. We succeeded in the state assembly in getting Jalil Montecune, who was in jail for 49 plus years, Herman Bell, Seth Hayes, all members of the Black Liberation Army. We were able to join the Jericho movement, and we got them freed. So this is what we were able to achieve. We got a reparations bill passed. They changed it when Inez and I left the arena. They changed the language, so the sellouts got more control over that. But we were able to do so much because we had power. Power is your ability to act. Power is your ability to make decisions in your best interest, regardless of the resistance. So we were able to win power seats. Even if people were against us, they couldn't do anything because the city council made the decisions, and they gave the power to the local council member, which was us. So I wanted to start off with that. And Empress, if you have any of the clips, do you have the clips on Charles Barron legacy? Empress?
Okay, what we did, we sent that out earlier. So yeah, various people do have it, and the folks that don't have it, if they let us know that they need it, then we'll send it to them. But we did send it out previously so that folks could kind of, know and see what we would be talking about tonight, and just have a gist of, the conversation and so forth.
I wanted to show it. Here.
Oh, okay. So what I can do is, Brother Lumumba, I'll send it to you, and then you can put it up shortly.
See, I want you to see these clips so that you can see what actually we achieved. I mean, we got 3 new $88 million schools in our district. We were able to get $110 million worth of renovated parks. We were able to also get a new library, a new youth center, community center, all because the New York City budget is $127 billion. And with $127 billion, we weren't about to allow them to not have some of that come to our communities. So that's some of the fighting we had to do. And you'll see if this clip comes up, you're going to be able to see what we actually achieved. In addition to getting stuff, we were able to stand before the city council and talk black, talk strong, talk radical, and deliver. You got to be able to maintain your radical ideology, get elected, don't play politics, and when I get in, then I'll start saying stuff and doing stuff. We said it on the campaign trail, got elected, and then after they got in, they said, Charles, be cool, else you're not going to get anything for the district. And we got stuff for the district. So that's what I wanted to let you see, actually what we were able to achieve in a short span of time. And if you, and the situation in Philadelphia will be different, I'm certain, or in wherever your community is, it'll be different. The numbers will be different. In New York, we're talking about 51 council members, and we're talking about 8.6 million people in New York City. And we're talking about a city budget of $127 billion. That's the expense budget. The capital budget to build schools and parks and hospitals in your district is $169 billion over the next 10 years. That's the kind of money. That's your money. That's your money. And they send nothing to your community because we're fighting for peanuts, for crumbs. We don't understand the what we deserve. They're not doing you no favors when they give you a program or build a school in your district. That's what they're supposed to do. So we were able to influence that, to be able to get some of that stuff in our district. So I wanted them to see that. Lumumba, you got it?
That's being sent. I haven't received it yet.
Okay.
While I'm waiting for that, though, I wanted to pose one question to you, and then see if we can open the floor up really quickly for any questions or comments with the information that you shared thus far.
Okay.
One question I wanted to ask you was about what's happening presently with the gutting of the civil rights bill as it pertains to the voting rights. So what, I just kind of want to get your take on and your perspective on, how you feel about it, and what do you believe that groups, individuals can do, the masses can do in order to engage their political representatives in pushing back against, this type of change of legislation and gutting of the voting rights bill, or can anything be done about it based on the legislation?
Absolutely. Plenty can be done about it. But let me just give you a brief history on that. When we first came out of enslavement, Black people joined the party of the Republicans. Abraham Lincoln and Frederick Douglass's party. The Republicans were the radical Republicans. That's what they called themselves, Charles Sumner and all of them. The Democrats were Dixiecrat, real racist redneck crackers that we couldn't even join their party. The Republicans said they would fight for the abolition of slavery. The Democrats said no. So those differences came and we joined their party. Then in 1877, after we got out of enslavement and we had that period, Black Reconstruction that W.E.B. Du Bois talked about, and we had governors, we had senators, we had state representatives, we passed legislation on education, and Blacks had these positions. They even paid some reparations. Tunis Campbell, all of that happened, the Freedmen's Bureau. But then the Democrats and the Republicans got together and said, hey, we need to put these Black folk back in check. The Democrats were saying, you got them in the South protected by these troops, these federal troops you sent to the South to protect them against us. Get rid of those troops and let's Republicans and Democrats work together, put these Blacks back in their place. That was the 1877 Rutherford B. Hayes Tilden Compromise in that presidential election. So everything that was gained during Black Reconstruction by the 19th century, by 1900, it was all lost. This is why when you hear people say the first governor since Reconstruction, because they always have to say it like that. And Rutherford B. Hayes Compromise, right after that, the first governor was Pinchback. He was a governor from Louisiana. He was the first Black governor during Reconstruction, Pinchback. And Pinchback got the seat because the governor of Louisiana was impeached. And so he ascended to the governorship in 1872. There's only been 4 Black governors in the history of this country. Pinchback was one, and the brother from Massachusetts, I forget his name, he was one. Governor Wilder from Virginia was another governor, and then Governor Patterson from New York. And Pinchback and Patterson, they didn't win elections. Patterson became governor because he was lieutenant governor, and the governor at that time was found messing with a prostitute, so he was put out, and that's how Patterson got in. We only had 4 because that's the power positions they don't want us to have. So as the compromise happened, then Black said, later for you Republicans, you sold us out to the Democrats. And then in 1930s, when Franklin Delano Roosevelt had the so-called New Deal, was no deal for us, but the New Deal, Blacks went to the Democratic Party and been there ever since.
Right.
So now, what the racists saw in both parties, Blacks are fighting to get registered. Fannie Lou Hamer, Civil Rights Movement, remember Cheney Goodman Swerner, all of this stuff. Whites and Blacks were dying just to register Black people. They were murdering us just to register. We weren't talking about no revolutionary struggle and armed struggle. We were talking registration, and people were dying. So when the power structure saw, well, it looks like they're going to get this registration, let's put in some stuff in place so that make it hard for them to register. So they had poll tax. If you want to register, you got to pay a poll tax. We couldn't afford it. Then they had dual registration. You had to register in your local area and in the county, which was further away, and we didn't have transportation to get there. And then they had the literacy test, so that if we weren't educated, we weren't stupid, they just denied us of education, then we couldn't pass the literacy test. So this is what the 1965 Voting Rights Act got rid of, the literacy test, the poll tax, dual registration. So now we were registering. So the white man stays a step ahead of you sometime, said, all right, they're going to get the registration, but we're going to gerrymander. We're going to draw the district lines so that now that they could vote, they would not be voting for any Black candidate in a majority Black district. So they drew the lines, gerrymandered lines, to maintain white power and not allowing Blacks to get any seats of power, because they carved the communities up to make sure that we had no majority. Adam Clayton Powell in 1941 became the first Black city council member in New York City. He decided that he was going to redraw the lines. So when redistricting came, the redrawing of the lines, Adam Clayton Powell said, you know what? 1/3 of Harlem is in this white community, another third of Harlem is in this white community, and another third of Harlem is in this white community. That means that Harlem was the minority in majority white communities in 3 different communities because they split Harlem up. So he redrew the lines, took a third out, took a third out, took a third out, and made an 80-90% Black district. And that's how he became, in 1944, the first New York City congressperson. So this happened all over, and we got more numbers and more numbers. And the Voting Rights Act said, listen, Section 5, if the states draw lines, it has to get pre-clearance from the feds. So these racist states, they can't racially draw the lines now and deny us because it had to be pre-cleared by the feds. Well, that's part of it. They gutted that out about 2013, 14, I think. And this is what they said. Oh, wait a minute. Y'all don't need voting rights no more. 2008, y'all voted for a Black president and he won, Barack Obama. And then 2012, he won again. So y'all don't need that. We have parity now. There's no more racism. This is a post-racial society. You have a Black president. They ran that crap down. That's why they gutted out Section 5 with pre-clearance. So that was gone. This one that you're talking about now is Section 2, because you still could draw lines considering race, because the racism was still alive and well, unfortunately. And so this Supreme Court said, you know what? We're going to gut out Section 2. You can't draw lines now and consider race. You just can't do that and consider race. So the lines that you draw now, if you want to claim discrimination, you have to prove that these lines that are drawn, they intended to discriminate. How are you going to prove intention?
Right.
That's what this thing did. So the Supreme Court changed Section 2 and said you can't use race as a factor anymore to draw lines. You got to prove discrimination by proving intent. So what happened in Louisiana, this is where it started. They were drawing lines. And the Black community said, wait a minute, we lost some seats. Y'all put us all into one community. Like we may have had 4 or 5, 3 or 4 different majority Black communities. They drew the lines so that all of those folk came in one community, so you lose 3 seats. Because they stacked you in one community. So the people in Louisiana rose up and they won. They made them redraw the lines. So now they had at least 2 Black districts. They had 2. So now the Supreme Court said, that ain't right. You got to prove intent. So the governor of Louisiana said, whoa, with this decision, we're going to redraw the lines again. So check this out. This is deep. He canceled the congressional part of the election in Louisiana after they already sent in absentee ballots. They already voted. He canceled the congressional stuff, let the local seats go forward. And 2 days before early voting, he canceled the congressional race. And now they're going to redraw the lines and do the congressional race later on. So now he can cut out as many Black districts as they want. They can redraw it. So this is why some of the Congressional Black Caucus members are saying within the next 10 years, our numbers will go from 60-something down to 30 because of the way they will draw the lines in states where they have the power. Now, I say years ago, people counted on the feds to protect them from racist state rights. Now, all of it was racism, feds and local. But now they're looking at the states to protect them from the feds. So take New York State, for instance. Even though the Supreme Court made that decision, all of the lines are going to be drawn by state legislatures and city council. That's where the people can come in and say, we want to be a part of the redrawing of the lines. So like in my district, for instance, they looked at my district. The city council had a commission on redistricting, and they wanted to redraw my lines. So fortunately for me, everything around me is Black. So there's no way they can redraw enough whites to get in the district and take me out. So it just went from, instead of me having more Brownsville, I had more East New York. But in areas where they can redraw the lines so that they include more white people, then that can make a difference. But it'll have to happen on a state level. So we can mobilize and organize and organize and organize to the point where we're saying we want to be in those meetings when you're drawing those maps. And this is how you offset what the Supreme Court does. You remember Roe v. Wade, when the Supreme Court decided they were overturning that?
Yes.
Well, they did it. But in New York State, I was in the state assembly. We decided that even though the Supreme Court did that, that we're going to codify Roe v. Wade, meaning we're going to keep it as a law in New York State. And so it exists in New York State, and that can happen in any state. That's why I say revolution is going to happen from the bottom up. The power is in local politics. You're not going to be able to do but so much on a national level with the presidency, because that's very, very, very difficult. And on that, let me just mention two things very quickly about the presidency. You know, when this country first started, they were trying to determine how they were going to select the president. First, they said, let's have a committee out of Congress select the president. That didn't go nowhere. Well, then let's let the governors do it. That didn't go nowhere. Then they said, well, then let's let the state legislature select the presidents. That didn't go nowhere. So they said, wait a minute. How about letting the popular vote select the president? And they said, no, because there's 4 million Africans who are now going to be free from slavery. And if they get the right to vote, then we'll never have a president that's not in the South. That's why they counted us as 3/5 of human beings. Because when they did the census count, then those populations that had all of us there wouldn't have a whole person. Ain't that something? Wouldn't have a whole person. And so they decided that what they would bring into existence is the Electoral College. You who are on this program never voted directly for president in your life. If you did, you never did, and you can't. What you're voting for in each state when you vote in November, you're voting for the electors of that state. They, in turn, in December, after you vote for them in November, they, in turn, in December, vote for president directly. So like New York, we have 27 electors. How did you become electors? Who are they? You don't know. I know. I looked it up. You don't know who they are, and you don't know who they got there, how they got there.
Right.
So the 27 of the electors, each party that's running in November has 27 electors they have to send to the Board of Elections. If you don't, your candidate won't be on the ballot because you're not voting for your candidate. You're voting for electors. So if you decide to be an independent Black Liberation Party and it's recognized by the state, you got to send in 27 electors.
Excellent information, Brother Barron. If I could just interrupt you for 1 second, my apologies.
No problem.
Excuse me. So I wanted to see if I can bring on Brother Jeff Jones really quickly, because I know he has a hard stop at 7:30, and so I just wanted to give him the opportunity to chime in really quickly before he had to depart. Brother Jones, question or comment?
No question or comment at all, but I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to, give voice and appreciation for what Brother Barron is sharing. Is really insightful, informative. Look forward to, additional conversation in the part 2 of this lesson here, because it's really going to ground me in the work that I'm doing as I also position myself to run for city council. So there's a lot of similarities there, and you're definitely hitting the nail on the head with a lot of information that's going to be helpful for my positioning. And I just look forward to building and, collaborating. So thank you.
Jeff, where you running for city council at?
At Philadelphia, the 8th district in Philadelphia.
8th district in Philadelphia? And when is those elections?
It's in 27.
27?
May 27.
Oh, it's good that you start now. Good. That's very good.
Yes,
we
indeed.
need numbers, and any way I could be of help, assistance, I'll be glad.
I'll be looking forward to it. So if there's any way someone could connect us, I greatly appreciate it.
You got it, man.
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you.
All right, much appreciated. Thank you for that, Brother Jones. All right, and I do have that clip ready as well.
Okay, but let me just wrap this up real quick.
Yes, please.
Yep. So now the electors go in December. They vote for president. January 6th, the vice president unveils the electoral vote. That's why they rioted. That's why the mega crackers under MAGA, crackers under Trump. That's why they rioted, because they didn't want Spence to validate the election. So they went there to stop him from validating the election, to count the electoral vote. And see, this is what happens in these elections. And this is deep. Check this out, y'all. In the last election, there were 240 million registered voters. 80 million stayed home. So don't think you're the only ones that stay home. White folks stayed home. They don't even believe in their system. The best turnout for presidential elections is usually 60-something percent. 30-40% of the electorate stays home. White people, you ain't the only ones that don't vote. White folk don't vote. So they stayed home. What was the turnout of the vote? 160 million people turned out to vote. 77 million fools voted for Donald Trump. 77 million. 75 million played the lesser of two evils, which we ain't playing no more, and they voted for Kamala Harris. So 75 and 77, that's around 160. But guess what? Of those 160 million voters, only 538 can vote directly for president, and that's the Electoral College. What democracy? What democracy? That's hypocrisy that Malcolm was talking about. 240 million people, 160 million come out to vote, and only 538 can vote directly for president. That's why the magic number is 270. When you're watching it at night, they say, who got the 270? So if you get to 270, you become president, and 160 million people voted, and only 270 people voted for you. That's how they maintain the two-party system, because in each state, it's winner take all. So if Lumumba was running against me, and Lumumba got 51% of the vote in his state, and I got 49%, and let's say his state had 20 electoral votes, he gets them all. Even though I got 49% of the people to vote for me, he gets them all, because it's winner take all. That's how they maintain the two-party duopoly, Republican and Democrats, under the colonial capitalist system. This whole system was designed for them. They did not have you in mind. The first 12, 15, 30 presidents of the United States owned slaves, owned enslaved Africans.
That's right.
That's how this whole thing started. So I just wanted to give you a little taste of that, so you can understand that this is not our system, but we can use it, as we did in East New York, to do two things: get some goods and services for our people, and then at the same time raise the contradictions to the capitalist system and encourage our people to become more radical and revolutionary.
Ashe. With that being said, thank you for that excellent breakdown and partial history lesson as well, along with the political education, because I don't believe, I'm pretty sure that a good majority of people are not familiar with that aspect of elections and how the electoral colleges work, and are under the impression that it's really the popular vote instead of the electoral vote that actually is able to put the president into office.
Right. Well, that's a good point you're making there, because people must realize that Hillary Clinton got 3 million more popular votes than Donald Trump when she lost. Hillary Clinton won the popular vote. Al Gore won the popular vote against George Bush, but they both lost the electoral vote, so therefore they lost the race.
Yes, sir.
Just want to chime in real quick before Brother Jeff goes, because he put something very significant in the chat, and that is talking about voting, and I think this exemplifies what Brother Charles just said. Brother Jeff said for that district, District 8, the last vote they have registered of 92,000 are registered. He said, but only 26,000 voted.
Look at that.
There it is. Yep.
That's deep. That's a lot.
That's right.
How many people are there in the council district?
Brother Jeff, can you answer that real quick? Okay, maybe not.
Maybe he left. And how many
Yeah,
council members are there in the Philadelphia City Council?
Oh, you mean how many number of city council people there is?
That's my second question, yeah.
Oh, okay. But let's see if he can come in and answer the question that you just asked. I just saw him. Okay. Brother Jeff, you there? Okay.
Exposed, yeah.
Okay. Okay, let's see if anyone else wants to chime in on that while we're waiting for Brother Charles. Ask your question again, please.
No, I wanted to know how many city council members there were and in the Philadelphia City Council, and how many people comprise a city council district.
Right, that's what I'm about to see. I don't know that one, how many people are comprised, and I thought Brother Jeff. Brother Shamari, you're in queue. Can you address any of that?
Let me put him back. Oops.
15 council people in total. I don't know how many constitute any particular district because they have different numbers. I could look that up, but I don't know. But I know it's 17. I know it's 17 total council people.
17.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
17. Do you
Yeah,
know
I think it's 9 districts and then 8 at large.
at large. Do you have you know the racial breakdown? How many black?
Yeah, I think. Well, I'm off the top of my head right now. I know that it's majority black. I think it's around 9, and then we have like I think about 2 or 3 Latino, and the minority is actually white.
See, that's my point. See, that's why our biggest battle is neo-colonialism. Neo-colonial black and Latino puppets, usually of the Democratic Party. That is our biggest problem. That was our biggest challenge in East New York. It wasn't no white folk. We had to deal with the neo-colonial black puppets of the Democratic Party. And they came at us with everything: more money, more endorsements, more real estate money, Wall Street money. That's what we're going to learn in this sessions we have, this one and the next one. And how do you beat that machine? How do you beat their lawyers? How do you beat them even if they outraise you in terms of money, even if they get more endorsements against you? And they did. We didn't out-endorse them. We didn't outraise them money. But, do y'all have campaign finance, public funding?
Yes.
Matching funds, you do?
Yes.
Oh, do you know what the match is?
I don't, but you know what, Brother Charles, I'm glad you're asking these questions, because this tells us where we need to now become a little more astute, a little more aware, and I'm taking notes because, and you and I talked about it already, we got to deal with basic civics.
Yes.
And these 3 questions are definitely basic civic stuff, and we should know it. So thank you for raising those questions. We're writing them down, and these are some of the things that we're going to start making sure that our people know.
Because we're in class. We're in class, y'all. So we have a conversation. Whatever you don't know is fine. That's a whole lot I don't know. I ask questions, to find out stuff. And that's why I'm asking these questions. In New York City, we have an 8-to-1 match. So every dollar we raise, we get $8. So if someone gives me $100, that's a $900 contribution. Because the city is $800 and then they're $100, that's $900.
Wow.
Right.
And so that after a while, we were like, whoa, we got $100,000, but we really only raised 20,000. But it's very meticulous. That's why another thing I want to encourage you to do, please, you gotta have a treasurer that knows their stuff. Make sure your treasurer goes to the campaign finance classes because it's meticulous. You got to dot every I, cross every T. We had a 75-year-old treasurer, Adeline Bunch. She's 95 now. She was with us for 20 years.
Wow.
75, she taught my wife, Inez. The two of them took care of the treasury. So when they came to hit us with stuff, man, we spent 21 years in the electoral arena, and we are clean as a whistle and putting our money, getting our money registered and checked and audit. They did audits, especially for us.
Mm-hmm.
They thought we were so black radicals, we weren't going to know how to do the meticulous thing. But I made sure I got a lawyer. Get your lawyer so that you do the petitioning process correctly. They will knock you off the ballot. That's the first thing they try to do. Like I needed 900 signatures to get on the ballot. 900. I got 5,000. 5,000.
Okay.
And the way I got it, the way we got it, we said we're going to do two things. One, remember I told you I was at the train station in the morning? So during the petitioning process, we knew we can get a high volume being in the train station. And for us, there were elevated trains. You don't stand downstairs because the people are going to fly by you because they're rushing to go to work.
Right.
We paid the fare and got on the platform with them while they were waiting for the train. That way, we could, talk to them, the train, they ain't nothing else to do. So we was able to get that. Now we knew that probably 50% of those signatures were not going to be good. That many of them may not have really been registered. They may have lived outside the district. They may be registered as independents, and this was a Democratic primary. They may be registered as Republicans, but we knew 50% of them were going to be good because we got train stations in the heart of our district. So we knew these people lived in the district. So if we got 3,000 to 4,000 signatures like that, we knew 2,000 of them were good and we only needed 900. Then to make sure we got on the ballot, in the evening, we got the voter registration file in our district from the Board of Election. So we had all the registered voters. In a much slower process, we went door to door. Is Miss Empress home? We noticed you're a registered voter. Could you sign our petition? Who are you? Charles Barron. I don't know you. Well, here, take my flyer, my palm card, and read it. And guess what? If you sign my petition, it doesn't mean you have to vote for me. It just means that you're giving me a chance to run. Okay, Mr. Barron, no problem. I'll read this. That's a sure bet.
Wow.
She's out of the book. So in the evening, if you can get another 300, 400, 500, 800, 900 in the evening, which is much slower, you start knocking on doors at 6 o'clock, people just getting home. Hi, Charles. Charles who? I'm cooking my dinner. Leave me alone, So that's a slow process. So even if you have like 10 people working a building, a lot of people won't be home. Some people won't open the door, and some people will open it and not sign. So you're getting good ones out of the book, but it's much slower. So we got the volume in the morning, and we got the sure bet in the evening. That comprised the 5,000. So they knew that they couldn't knock us off the ballot going line by line. That's what they do at the Board of Election. They go line by line to knock each signature off. You got to sit there and fight with your lawyer to keep it. They knew they couldn't get us down below 900 if we had 5,000. So the other way to get you off the ballot, they take you to election court and say you committed fraud.
Okay.
They go to election court and said, my wife, who went out and got signatures for us, I could get signatures and so can my wife. Our lawyer always said, don't do it, because if they charge you with fraud and your wife got the signatures, you're getting kicked off the ballot. If they charge you with fraud and somebody else got them, they're just knocking all of those signatures off that they got. Because, the petition carrier signs the bottom. So we have a 10-page a petition with 10 names on it. Whoever your petition carrier is, he or she better be registered as a Democrat in your district, at the Board of Election. Because they'll challenge the petition carrier. And if that person collected 200 signatures for you, all of those are gone, even if they're good, because the petition carrier was bad. To make a long story short, they took us to court and said that we forged 3,200 signatures. A lie. They had no handwriting expert. They even said, you think Barack Obama had it bad? They said I wasn't a citizen of the United States. I'm serious. I had to bring my birth certificate to court. Now, they knew they weren't knocking us off the ballot, and this is what happens when you fight against the machine. The judge was picked by the county. That was their judge. And he said, listen, we can't knock them off, but bring them into court. I had to pay $7,000 for a lawyer to show them my birth certificate. They wanted me to spend money in court rather than on posters and mailing. After I beat them, they appealed it. I had to spend another $3,000, $10,000 on a bogus suit. So our lawyer said to the judge, this was a frivolous suit. They should pay the legal fee. That's what usually happens. But that was their judge. So we had to pay $10,000. We stayed on the ballot and we eventually won. Wow. All right. You can see the clip now.
Okay. Oh, yes. I just want to add in really quickly, Brother Shamari added into the chat 10 district council and 7 at large. And Shamari, I don't know if you wanted to add in that information about the population for each district. Uh-oh, did we lose? Okay, there he is. Let me bring him back. Okay, Brother Shamari, yeah. If you wanted to add that information in before we went to the video clip.
Yeah, well, it was a question about the populations counts in a particular district. I just don't remember the question.
No, I just wanted, like, in my district, we have 161,000 people make up a council district, and 121,000 make up assembly district. So I was wondering what the population was of your.
Okay, so was there a particular district y'all were referencing at the time? I mean,
I think it was the 8th.
All right, so District 8, as of the last census, they have it at 150,000, 150,407.
Okay.
So each district had different numbers. The lowest district population is 147,472, and that's District 4, which is West Philly here. That's Curtis Jones's district. And then the most populous one is 171, almost 172,000, and that's District 1. And I believe that's the one that includes downtown and that whole area around there.
So you said out of that number, 75,000 were registered?
Well, I didn't do anything about those numbers. I was just talking about, the question was, what's the general population? Right. So in District 8, I guess, which would I think he was talking about District 8. Did I miss that?
He was talking about District 8, and so registered was 92,000.
Wow.
Okay. And the population is 100 for them is 150,407.
Okay. Right. 150,000. 92,000
were registered.
All right.
And but 26,000 is what voted.
Yeah, so that's 60,000 people about unregistered.
Right.
And wow, yeah, Philadelphia is notorious for low voter participation in basic elections, though. So
right.
26,000, was that for the primary or the general?
I'm not sure. We have to ask Brother Jeff on that.
Because usually the primary has a lower turnout.
Mm-hmm.
Because 26,000 is pretty high.
Out of the, even though 92 registered.
Right, because I have 60,000 registered and only 10,000 came out. Well, yeah, it's just as bad.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, and we did have some additional information. Brother Ramsey, I don't know if you wanted to add that in really quickly before you went to the video. Brother Ramsey, are you
I'm sorry,
there?
what did you say?
No, I said I'm not sure if you wanted to add that additional information in before we went to the video. Yeah.
I just put some information I saw on AI on ChatGPT regarding how the numbers are distributed throughout the 10 districts in the geographic district in Philadelphia.
Okay. Did you want to expound on that a little bit before I went to the video clip?
There's not really much to expound on. It's they try to keep the numbers evenly distributed among the 1.57 million people in Philly. So that works out to be between 155,000 and 160,000 for the 10 geographic districts, and then you have 7 at-large districts.
Now, is that 26,000? Is the 8th congressional district, is that an at-large or district?
No, that's a district. That's where Cindy Bass is. So that would be like the northwest area of Philly.
And then the other thing I would say, to look at the history of how many votes the winner got.
Okay.
You know, how many votes did the person get to win? Because when I saw that the person that won the election before I won got 4,800. So my goal was to get 5,000. And when I won, that's exactly what I got. I got 4,970 some odd votes.
Gotcha. Okay.
Quick question before, because I think, and somebody from Philly can correct me if I'm wrong, next year, which I think is 2027, I believe all of the council seats are up for election. Is that normal, or is that an oddity that all the seats are up for election at the same time?
But all the seats are always up for election. No one has come.
No, not in Philly. They're not all at the same time. At least if I remember correctly, they're not all at the same time, unless something changed.
Well, it may or may not. It all depends. Like in some cases, every 4 years is city council election. Every 2 years is state assembly, Congress, and state senate election. But sometimes, like if people don't finish a term and somebody comes in the middle of the term, it changes a little. But the bottom line is that every 4 years, it's an 8 year. Do you have term limits?
I don't believe so.
Yeah, I don't believe so.
No.
These people have been in office forever.
Oh, yeah. So we have term limits. We can only run 2 terms, 8 years, and then we have to sit out a term, and then we do it again. But every 8 years, that's why I said it's important for us to build this Black radical movement, because every year, every 8 years, some members are term limited out. Like when I won, of the 51 seats, 36 were term limited. And fortunately for me, the incumbent in my district was term limited out. So it was an open seat. And that's how I won.
Okay, you're right, Brother Charles. I just looked it up. It is every 4 years for city council. Yep, you're right. See, that's what I'm saying. We got to do better. I got to do better. We got to do better, because we should know this stuff right off the bat.
Yeah, and there are no term limits for the mayor or the city council persons.
Well, there's a term limit for the mayor, I believe. Yeah, there's definitely a term limit for the mayor. And the reason why I definitely know that, because Frank Rizzo ran for 2 terms, and he tried to break the charter. He tried to change the charter. So there's definitely term for mayor. I know that for a fact.
Well,
It says that Philadelphia removed mayoral term limits in 2007.
Say it again.
Well, just reading online, again, I don't live in Philly, so I'll just put that caveat out there. But it says that Philadelphia removed the mayoral term limits in 2007.
Wow.
Oh, okay. Well, that's interesting you should say that, because we have term limits, and it's 2 terms, 8 years. When Bloomberg got in, he changed the charter for temporarily, and that's the first time we had 12 years in. We had 3 4-year terms, and then they turned it back, voted it back to 2 8-year terms. But he had 12 years instead of 8.
Yeah, but I do think I don't. This is one of those things. That's why I tell, like, AI is very tricky to use for information, because I'm pretty sure that Philadelphia still has term limits in place.
That's from Philadelphia.gov, Phila.gov, actually.
Yeah, so one of the movements you should fight for, and most Democrats will be totally against it, is term limits for the city council, because incumbents they don't want term limits, and most of them didn't even want public financing, because they knew that you can now match them with money. So those are the 2 things that they fought against in New York. But we do have term limits, and we do have public financing, not only in the city council, but now we just started it in the state assembly.
Good information, good information, and good strategy. I just want to bring to everyone's attention, I don't know where the time went, but apparently we just flew past, and it is almost reaching the 8 o'clock hour, family. So I'm not sure if folks can stay on just a little bit longer for like an additional 10 to 15 minutes. But I just wanted the opportunity.
I'm sorry.
No, I just wanted to give an opportunity to play a little bit of the video clip, and also, for closing comments and questions. So I'm not sure if we can stay on for a little bit longer.
All right, this is a 7-minute clip, and it shows me, starts off speaking in the city council, because I wanted to let y'all see that, we can't be afraid to speak our truth. And then it shows some of the comments.
I'm sorry, my Baba Baron. The clip I have now is Radical Politics. This is
do you have the one, Charles Barron Legacy? Because
I sent it.
Radical Politics is 12 minutes.
Right. You said the other one, Empress?
Yeah, Legacy.
Okay, that's the first one. But that Legacy one is the. Let me see if there's another one. Let me check. That's the same clip. That actually is from Radical Politics. So that's a 12-minute clip.
No, Legacy is 7 minutes. It's a separate.
Right. Yeah, I sent that too.
Yeah, I don't have that one.
All right, let's just do, in the interest of time, let's just go ahead and do Radical Politics.
Okay. All right, got it.
Democrats, Republicans, liberals, conservatives, far left, far right. What do they stand for? Today I have the distinguished honor of interviewing one of the most outspoken and charismatic elected officials in New York City, Councilmember Charles Barron of Brooklyn's 42nd District. Now, I know about politics, but what are his politics? What's his stance? Is it true what they say? Is he a radical politician? What is radical politics? Explain to me what that is.
Radical means getting to the root of the problem. And oftentimes we organize around symptomology, the symptoms of the root causes. So instead of looking at the structure of capitalism and how it brings or yields unemployment, poverty, how it yields through racist institutions, racial profiling, foreclosures, inadequate health care, miseducation, all of these issues that are vital to our communities. If you're not into radical politics, then you're looking for anti-violence programs. You're looking for workforce development programs, and we should. But if this machine over here is producing all of that, and you never look at the very fundamental structure of the system, you're gonna have a problem. I'll give you another example. They said that the economic crisis was caused by deregulation, that they didn't have regulations for Wall Street. Well, that's correct to an extent. But even when Wall Street was regulated, Black people were still catching it. We still were unemployed to the tune of 40 and 50% our youth, and 10, 15, 20% in our communities. We still were on the bottom. We still had poverty. We still had far too much homelessness and unemployment, even when there's no economic crisis, because it's not really deregulation, it's the very system of capitalism itself that's creating the problem. When you have the massive amount of wealth at the top, the 1%, and the 99% not sharing in that wealth and income, then you're going to have major, major problems. Something's fundamentally wrong with that system. When you pay more taxes than some of the corporations, something's fundamentally wrong with that system. So when we say radical politics, we want to get to the root causes of our oppression. We want to get our people involved with politics that's going to be unafraid to speak truth to power, unafraid to say that I'm running in an electoral arena. We're going to talk Black. We're going to talk radical and still get elected and still deliver. And that's what we have been able to do. We should not be afraid of it. We have to redefine it for our people and raise their consciousness.
Are you a radical politician?
Absolutely. And I am proud to say I'm radical. I'm proud to say that we're getting to the root of the problem. I ran here in East New York, and people said, don't tell people you're a Black Panther. De-emphasize that. Go put on a shirt and tie. Go along to get along. And after you get in, you can say this and that. No, I was honest. And you know what? When I got in, we were able to renovate 3 parks, $17.5 million more than any other council member. I am the #1 council member in building affordable housing, at least in Brooklyn, 6,000 units. Was able to bring in 2 new $80 million schools. Was able to have a Black male initiative in CUNY, the City University of New York, $2.5 million over the last 7 years. And I could sit here for the rest of this taping and talk about the accomplishments. And I did this being strong, being Black, calling racism what it is, taking on the mayor, the speaker, the governor. And I did this bringing Robert Mugabe to City Hall, the president of Zimbabwe. I did this going to Cuba, going to Venezuela to learn more about governments and how socialism works. I did all of this going to even Gaza, to the Gaza Strip in the Middle East, and bringing humanitarian aid for the Palestinian people, because we cannot afraid to be who we are, to be radicals, to be progressive, and the people will respond when you respond to their needs. When I was able to get people jobs and able to stop landlords for throwing people out, able to find shelter for people. When you meet the needs of the people, then the people will respect your politics.
Since your election to office, and I commend you on your victory while maintaining still to your core values and principles and your beliefs, what has been the biggest challenge for you as a city councilman?
You know, the biggest challenge is my colleagues. We have a city where Blacks, Latino, and Asians make up 62% of the population. There are 8.2 million people in New York City. 2.3 million are Latino, 1.8 million are Black. That's 4.1 million, more than half. 1 million are Asian. 5 million plus are Black, Latino, and Asian. 2.7 million whites. We live in a city where there's a city council that passes the budget. That's our power. We pass laws. We determine how land is going to be used. And we have oversight over city agencies. 51 city council members and 27 are people of color, 24 whites, 14 blacks, 11 Latinos, and 2 Asians. Why is it that we have Christine Quinn, Speaker of the City Council? Why didn't we choose a black person or a Latino person or even an Asian person? Anything but another white person, because whites have always led the city council. We're the new majority. We have the majority in the city council. We should have had that power position. What frustrates me is that we can't get the 14 blacks to be strong enough to stand up to the speaker and for their community. Same thing with the Latinos. They go along to get along. They're afraid to take on the speaker, and they're the majority. That's been the most frustrating thing. So George Steinbrenner and the Yankees can come to the city council, get hundreds of millions of dollars worth of tax breaks, promise jobs that never come, and this council will pass it. Ratner can get money out of the city council to help build the Nets an arena. This council will pass it. NYU will come by to expand itself in the Greenwich Village. This council will pass it. Columbia University comes to gentrify Harlem and buy up the real estate in Harlem. This council will pass it. We have a $68 billion budget, balancing the budget off the backs of poor working class people, cutting summer youth programs. 83,000 slots when I first came in 10 years ago, and now we're down to 31,000 summer youth slots for 140,000 young people. This council passed that. That's the most frustrating thing when like Adam Clayton Powell said, use what's in your hands. You got the power in your hands and you give it right back to others instead of you taking control of the resources that can positively impact us. That's been the most frustrating thing for me.
Councilman,
let me pause it right there. I think that was on an excellent point and segue. I want to just give a little bit of opportunity for any last questions. And then, of course, for you, Baba Barron, for final thoughts and closing remarks for this evening. So if I may, I just wanted to open the floor up for any questions or comments that you may have thus far with the information that's been shared. Questions or comments, family, do not be shy. Let me see if I have anything from our YouTube page. All right. Microphones up from Sister Shirley Baker. All right. Thanks for tapping in from our YouTube page, Sister Baker, and all those who tapped in on YouTube. All right. Those on the stage currently, any questions or comments? All right, let's not be shy. Okay. Oh, let me add. Oh, Sister Empress, I gotta add her back. Okay, she was off. All right, and Sister Empress is off stage, so I'm going to open that floor up for you as well.
Okay. Am I on?
You're on. Yep.
Okay. So since we don't have anyone that have any question or comments, can we go to that other clip and play just a few minutes of it? Because I do want people to kind of see for themselves, excuse me, what Brother Shamari and I were able to see. We literally went up and did a tour. Brother Charles and the family there was kind enough to take us on a great tour for us to see for ourselves some of the things that he's been talking about. That's why it's so important that we had to follow up and go and take things to the next level. With that said, if you are in the Philadelphia area, we want you, meaning if you're interested in running for a political office and you've heard what we've talked about and the way we've talked about it, and you feel that this is something that you can get involved in genuinely, based on the principles and the formats that we presented thus far, we want you. We want to run our own candidates. But again, based on the collective agenda And so there's a session coming up here in Philly on May the 22nd. We'll be meeting at 31 North 60th Street. We'll be doing meetings all over the city for the rest of the summer. This is an ongoing process. So again, for those who are interested in running for a electoral political office, there will be classes and other information. If this is not something that you're not familiar, if this is something you're not familiar with, but you feel that it is something that you can do and you want to do, that's what we want. You don't have to have a whole lot of experience or all of that. That's not it. We want genuine, real folk, that's the primary, that really want to see our community grow, develop, and advance, and with the intent of sustainability, not just an accomplishment here and there. No, we have a plan of action. Let me tell you, if other people can have Italy Town or Chinatown or Greek Town or whatever, then best believe we have a plan. We'll go into that at another time. But again, if you're interested, put your information in the chat or email us at nationalmwm@aol.com. Again, nationalmwm@aol.com. If you're ready to step up and do more than just talk, come on, let's go.
All right, absolutely. And I just, before I go to the clip really quickly, I just wanted to ask that position or that platform that you were putting to the forefront, Baba Barron, was that called Black Power Politics? What was that?
Which one?
It was like a slogan or a mantra that you were using for like your platform or your campaign type of strategy. Was it called? And I think it was like a show also that you had that was based on that title. It's called like Black Power Politics or something like that.
We had a show called Speaking Truth to Power, and then we had another one called Operation Power.
Okay, Operation Power. That's okay. Okay,
right. Our movement in East New York, Operation Power.
Okay, all right.
And it's an acronym for POWER, People Organizing and Working for Empowerment and Respect. Operation Power, because we wanted to focus on power.
Love it. So yeah, we can kind of take some notes from that and begin to build on some of that legacy and with that same spirit and energy. So I just wanted to share that. All right, let me go to the video real quick, and I'll play a couple minutes for that before we have to close out for the evening.
To my colleagues, in my 12 tumultuous years with you, you've been very controversial. And I tried to keep you in line, but it was very difficult. I do want to say this, that I voted no for so many of your projects. And I will be voting no on some more today. However, I do appreciate that when my projects came before you, you voted yes.
Here we are in your office. I notice you have a stack of the various awards and stuff that you've gotten. They're just like sort of piled up over here. And instead, you've got all of these maps and plans and models here in your office.
Right. You know, I wanted to really turn this into an urban planning room. Because when I first came in, I had a vision for East New York. You know, East New York has a history of having burnt out housing, and arsonists burnt it down to get the insurance and so that they could leave whites left, and blacks and Latinos now make up 80-90% of East New York. So we wanted to rebuild East New York with housing, with gardens, with parks, with new schools. And that's what you're going to see today.
Okay, so we're here across from Linden Plaza, the Linden Houses, this gigantic complex here. And you said this used to be a completely vacant lot, a lot of crime, a lot of problems.
Crime, desolate. They have to walk through this park to get to the train station across the conduit. And now look at it.
You put a lot of money into this?
Yes, I put about $4 million in. The Department of Parks put about $3-4 million in, and another group put about $1.5 million. So we teamed up on this.
and develop this whole area.
In a lot of ways, this is politics 101, right? I mean, you've got hundreds, if not thousands of votes, right? People right here in the complex, and you took what was an eyesore and turned it into an amenity for them at considerable expense, by the way, as well as brought in some new housing. So that's a couple of hundred new voters and so forth. Is that the sort of the basic politics that has?
Well, be straight up with you, Errol, I don't even see it like that. To be honest with you, I don't think about votes when I'm doing this. I knew children didn't have a place to play, and that was my priority. But votes, I could have gotten those votes probably whether I did this or not. Just campaigning hard and doing some work. So my motivation was really, if you're going to get in office, do the job.
Okay, what is the name of this park?
Well, formally, I put emphasis on formally. This is Gershwin Park, also known as Linden Park. We call it Sonny Carson Park. The mayor can't tell me I can't name a park after our activists.
Okay.
So now what we did with this park, this is all dirt. And I will put $3.6 million into this.
We are in PS 166, and this is one of the projects that you are most proud of.
Very proud of this. We contributed $500,000 to this to get this renovated because we know that culture, we know recreation inspires academic achievement and academic success. This is a state-of-the-art recording studio.
And this is connected, this computer lab is connected. I have to tell you, I see 30 iMacs here. I've been in a bunch of computer labs in schools. I haven't seen any quite as nice as this.
All right, for East New York. But this is one of we want top of the line stuff. They help them with their music theory. So it's not just them going in there and just messing around. They know what they're doing. And we're very proud of this. I have these kinds of science labs and computer labs in most of the schools in my district.
One of the things we've learned from visiting some of your colleagues in the council is that when a council member says put millions in, that's often a multi-year process of trying to get it into a member item and then calling the agencies to make sure that they deliver.
Exactly. So that's why I'm concerned when people come in to take others' place in office. They better know how this process works, or else you can give out. If you're a politician, which I am not, I'm an elected activist. If you're a politician, then you spread your capital money around so much so you can get reelected, but then you don't have any projects built because it's not enough. So I get about $2-3 million in capital money. I put it all in one project.
Okay, so this is the model. You showed us the model of this on the desk in your office, and this is the actual school, and it's just about ready to open, or is it open now?
It's open. It's open, and we have a science in there. We have a writing school that's coming. It's high school and middle school. And this was an $80 million project.
Okay, so where are we now? This looks like the center of a suburban mall, frankly.
Right.
What's
you wouldn't even believe you were in East New York. This is the Elton Street corridor. This is the town center. A part of the planning was to be able to have mixed usage. If you see on the top, we have the solar panels because we want to bring down the energy costs. And then on the bottom is retail. So all along the corridor on the bottom of this, we're bringing in economic development to go along with the housing. You can't just bring people in and housing and not have
they need a dry cleaners, they need a bagel store,
they need places to work, So I just wanted to come before you to say that I will always be Black, radical, revolutionary. I will always be a socialist, anti-capitalist, imperialist. I went to Cuba. I went to Venezuela. I went to Zimbabwe. Brought the president to you and you didn't appreciate it. Robert Mugabe, who's taken the land back from whites in Africa. For all of those who are my heroes, Evo Morales of Bolivia, these are my heroes. And Che Guevara, Fidel Castro, those are my heroes. The Black Panther Party and all of the members and the political prisoners. I wanted to come to you to say, that's who and what I am, and that's what I will always be.
You can cut it there.
Today,
you can cut it there.
All right. Excellent information and inspiration Baba Baron. Okay. So hopefully, everyone got something that they could take from that moving forward in order to build. And I was inspired as well. So I wanted to ask your permission before I started, taking this and running with it. But I was looking at, just like I was saying, being able to continue that legacy politically and be able to push forward the Operation Power political legacy movement.
Mm-hmm.
Based on some of your practice and principles, be able to teach these things and be able to develop a political movement that can be kind of taken and implemented state to state.
Well, that's what we've been trying to do, but it's not with the Operation Power movement. That's in East New York. We're part of the National Black Radical Political Congress. We have had, I think, since the last 4 or 5 years, we had 4 national conferences, and started in Pittsburgh 4 years ago, and we had about 11 states represented, about 100 people, and we're focusing on running Black radical candidates for local seats across the country. So the best move would be the National Black Radical Political Convention, and I could Congress, and I could send you some information on that.
Okay, excellent. Please do. Much appreciated. With that being said, let me come over to you all on the panel for any final questions or comments before we get ready to close out for this evening. I just want to say, thank you very much. Thank you for your service. Excellent work, and laying down some of that foundation or continuing in some of that legacy of our freedom fighting ancestors. And I got to quote you again, elected activists. All right, because I'm taking that and running. I'm gonna take that and run with it too.
When I get real angry, they said, "What are you?" I said, "First of all, don't call me a politician. I'm a pantheristician. I am an elected revolutionary." They said, "Oh, okay. Calm down."
Yes, so that being said, let me open up the floor really quickly for any final questions or comments from the panel. That is all you all that is on our StreamYard main stage right now. Questions or comments from you all before we get ready to close out for this evening. All right, I'm a little bit surprised. Oh yeah, okay, there we go. You got a question or comment? Okay, you are super quiet this evening. All right. Let me come back over to Sister Empress. With that being said.
Well, let me do this. Let me acknowledge Joyce Scott Brayboy real quick. She's on. She's from Operation Power. So I want to thank you, Joyce, for being on with us today.
All right. Give thanks. Much appreciated. All right, let me turn it back over to Sister Empress for final thoughts, closing remarks.
All right. Well, again, as we expected, an incredible discussion, forum, presentation. And so, folks, let people know next week, part 2, same time, same place. That's, again, May 18th at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. We will go into part 2. And now we're going to really start looking even closer at not only how we need to move forward, because keep in mind, next year is also the 55th year anniversary of the National Black Political Convention. So while we know that there have been people assemblies and other kinds of sessions that have helped us to develop, what are we talking about doing now, particularly in commemoration of the 55th year? Now, of course, there's good, bad, and indifferent of that political convention that took place, but you got to know that it definitely is historic, and it did create some things. And I can tell you, for Philadelphia, we know without a doubt that Black folks stepped up after that convention and began to really focus on getting organized and so forth. Brother Charles and I talked about the history of the Black United Front. which of course was very instrumental after that convention. So we got to look at now, what apparatuses are we now going to put in place to secure local Black political agenda and national Black political agenda. So we'll be talking more about that next week, as well as how to keep folks, shall we say, honest, or if not honest, well, honest, but definitely more responsible and more accountable.
There you go.
Because we got to look at that too.
Real quickly, I said there were 4 Black governors, but my wife helped me out here. There were actually 5. It's PBS Pinchback in Louisiana in 1872, Douglas Wilder in Virginia in 1990, Deval Patrick in Massachusetts in 2007, David Patterson in New York in 2008, and in Maryland in 2023. So there's been 5 governors, but that's it.
All right. Yes, sir.
Thank you for the opportunity. I appreciate those who took time out to listen, and I'm looking forward to next week.
All right, excellent. Thank you for joining us. We definitely, appreciate having you. All right.
And one quick sidebar. Next week we'll be sharing Brother Charles at a session with Chromo.
Next week. Y'all don't want to miss that.
All right. All right, family. So we're getting ready to close out this session for this evening. Thank you for joining us once again. I want to thank, of course, first and foremost, I want to give thanks to the Most High Creator Creatress. Give thanks to the ancestors and the elders, those who have shed blood, sweat, and tears and paved the way to allow us to be here today. All right. Give thanks to Brother Charles Barron, right, for the wonderful presentation today. Give thanks for Sister Empress for pulling this together and putting this initiative forward. I want to thank you all. Thank you for your time, energy, and effort, dedication, determination, and discipline.
And thank you, Brother Lumumba, for the incredible flyers. Even Brother Charles said how great it was, and other people had too. So thank you for that, and also for your moderation.
Yes.
All right. Yes, indeed. Much appreciated. All right. So with that being said, I want to bid you all truth, justice, peace, love, freedom, power, prosperity, protection, patience, and divinely principled purpose. I want to say, let us continue to strategize, organize, and mobilize. And finally, family, I want to say, Pamoja Tutashinda, which means together we will win. All right. We'll see y'all next week, the next Monday, 6:30 once again. All right. And we look forward to having you all. And thank you once again.
And don't forget, ask folks to join us tomorrow night for Ethereal Journey.
Yes, Ethereal Journey. Don't forget Ethereal Journey. That's Tuesdays at 8 p.m. All right. So check us out. Tap in, support, like, share, subscribe. All right. We're going to close out for this evening. Thank you all once again. Peace, power, and prosperity.
Hoodoo.